Hello, Brave Nation, and welcome back into another episode of BraveHawk Talk right here on the UNCP Sports Network. John Gross, so happy for all of you to be joining us on this Friday afternoon or whenever you may be listening. Really exciting show on tap for you, joined by two awesome guests. First up, a guy who, in my eyes, is the top kick returner in all of college football, Devin Jones of the UNC Pembroke football team. And then we wrap up today's show with Jack Bull Slavin, UNC Pembroke's assistant AD for marketing partnerships, somebody who I really work with every single day. Here is BraveHawk Talk on the UNCP Sports Network. Devin, thank you so much for joining me today in BraveHawk Talk. Really appreciate it. I know obviously your class is being switched to online classes. You have some work to do with that and everything, but I appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk with me.
Yeah, thank you for having me, John.
What has the last few weeks been like for you? Obviously, a lot of change.
It's been kind of crazy, obviously we didn't sign up for online classes, but I found myself having more free time and, making it harder for me to do my work. But, with the free time, it's also a little break that I needed, and, just I get to relax while doing some schoolwork when I actually do it.
What would you say the hardest part about now having online classes is?
The hardest part is probably managing the time. I got people hitting me up wanting to hang out all the time, now that I'm back and everything like that. And, I kind of got to make the time to, decide if I want to do my work or go hang out, or kind of time management. So it's a good way to help me practice my time management and everything.
Now, switching things over to football a little bit, I mean, this past season, you were absolutely electric to watch, and we're going to hit on that in a little bit, but tell me a little bit about your journey to get to UNCP. I know you went to Lake Norman High School, but what was the journey like to get to Pembroke?
Okay, so first, I wasn't really highly recruited coming out of high school. I had a couple D1 looks. And everything. I went to the camps. I got, fastest man at a bunch of camps. I actually had a Penn State camp. I got fastest man. I got the longest vert, everything like that. But my biggest problem was my size. And, every college coach that came to recruit me said I was too small to play at that next level. I've been told I've had to change positions to receiver and, everything like that. So going into my senior year, I actually had 0 offers. Then I had a couple preferred walk-ons, Western Carolina and UNC Charlotte, and then I had a NAIA school offer, Bluefield, and they really wanted me. And at that point, I just didn't know what I wanted to do because I felt like I was good enough to go, play big boy ball is what I called it. So I was kind of, I wouldn't say depressed, but just upset that I wasn't getting the offers that I wanted. So I didn't feel appreciated. I didn't feel like I was wanted. So it was kind of a hard time. But I came to Pembroke. It was one of the official visits there, and I had a little camp and everything like that. I had an overnight stay, and the players made me feel welcome, made me feel like a family and everything like that. And Coach Rich, we had a talk. They really wanted me, and it's kind of like the teams. I haven't had a college actually really want me, and I haven't had the players treat me like that on any of my visits or anything like that. So, right after my visit, I texted all my other coaches that's been recruiting me and everything, and told them I was committing to UNC Pembroke. Then I called Coach Rich and told him I was committing that day after my visit. So it's kind of how I got to UNCP.
You said that a lot of coaches said, oh, you're too small, or this isn't the right position for you, you have to play receiver, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
How much did that motivate you?
It motivated me a lot, man. I got in the gym every day. I was grinding. My personal trainer, Marcus Magruder, he played at Wake Forest. He told me, he's one of the main people that told me not to change my position and told me to just, be a dog, and the right school will come. So I just got in the gym every day. I was grinding. I had a pretty good senior season, and it was real motivating. And honestly, I kind of needed it too, because at that point in my career in high school, I was real cocky. I thought nobody could tell me nothing, so it's kind of humbling.
You're a guy now entering your senior year here, but you've really been a contributor since day one. With that being said, where do you feel like you've grown the most in your time at UNCP?
I feel like I've grown the most in honestly my attitude. You know, my freshman, sophomore, and my freshman sophomore year, had a real bad attitude. If I get a kick return, I got tackled at like the 20-yard line. I'd get up, yell at my teammates. Me and the coaches would get into it all the time and everything like that. And over the years, I've just grown, um, I've noticed that like ever since I've changed my attitude, had a better attitude. You know, I've had a better relationship with my teammates and coaches and everything, which made it easier to play. Because when everybody's feeling good about each other, it just makes the team better, makes the team closer, makes everybody want to play harder instead of getting yelled at and everything like that. So I think the biggest improvement is my attitude. And then obviously like coming from freshman year to now, I've gotten a little bit bigger, I've got faster, and the game slowed down a lot more. So I can say that too.
Was there a moment looking back at your career that it kind of clicked for you that you need to make that attitude change? Do you remember a time where either someone said something to you or you figured it out yourself?
Yeah, actually, it was Lenore Ryan. I want to say 2 years ago. I want to say me and Coach Welch, our return coach, our old return coach. He, we were getting beat pretty bad, and I want to say like 30 points maybe, and they're kicking off again. And he told me not to bring the ball out the end zone. He said if it's 2 yards deep, bring it out. Anything deeper than that, don't bring it out. In my head, I'm thinking, no, like we're already getting beat. I'm gonna do what I want, type stuff. And I told everybody on the kick return unit that I'm bringing it out regardless. So they kicked it. It was about 9 yards deep, and I brought it out anyways and got to about the 9-yard line. And Coach Rich and Coach Welch ripped me. Like they ripped me, and I ended up getting benched the next 2 or 3 games because I did that. So.
Wow. That is a great story.
Yeah, and then there's also Mars Hill when I got my first career kick return touchdown, and I was excited, and I thought at like the 7-yard line, I threw up a peace sign at somebody and got it called back, and we ended up not scoring at all.
Oh my gosh!
So Coach Rich ripped me with that one too. So.
So you learned your lessons there, but you talk about kick returning. You were not only the best in D2, all of NCAA. You were tied for the most kick return touchdowns in all of NCAA football at any level. You had 3 kick return touchdowns this past year, tied with 2 others at that number. What do you think makes you so good in the return game?
Honestly, my teammates are a big part of that. Obviously, without them, I couldn't do any of this. I need their blocks. I read off them. I'm real instinctive. I'm real good at just hitting the hole. It's like I see a hole and I just hit it. I take it. I don't really second guess myself. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I'm pretty confident now that I've been doing it for 3 years that I can just hit the hole and I can just get out of there. So.
Are there times where, looking back to those kick return touchdowns, like you catch the ball, you see something, and at a certain point, all right, I'm scoring here, I'm gone?
Yes. I see a little hole open up, and I just put my foot in the ground and just go. Like, that's really all I do. I see a little seam, and I just hit it as hard as I can and go.
You also return punts, and I've never played football, but from what I've heard, it's a very different art form, I guess you can say, returning punts versus returning kicks. What are some of the differences between the two?
I would say with kick returning, you got to be more, fast and just be able to hit the hole with straight line speed. On return, you got to be more elusive. You got to be able to make people miss and maneuver around everybody. So those are some of the big differences. Obviously, punt return, you're looking straight up at the ball. You don't know where anybody's at, so it's a bit more dangerous uh, and nerve-wracking trying to catch that ball, and it's real high up in the air. So sometimes it's hard. You lose it in the light and everything like that. Um, Me personally, I think kick return is easier than punt return. Um, just because of what I stated. Uh, it's Kick returns is more straight line. You hit the hole, and then you're gone. Punt return, you gotta make a few people miss. You gotta maneuver around everybody. You might have to change one direction of the field all the way to the other. So you very rarely can just run straight on punt return and get a touchdown.
Like we said, one of the best kick returners in all of college football, regardless of the level. And it got to a point this past year where teams just would not kick to you. They would not punt to you. And I even remember, I think it was the Lenore-Ryan game. They were refused to kick to you. They just kept squibbing it or kicking it the other direction. And then you guys were trying to like hide where you were and disguise you all over the field. So what's that like for you when teams are literally scared and game planning to kick away from you?
Honestly, it makes me feel good. It's frustrating because obviously I want to help my team and everything like that, but I also got to realize that when teams squib and try to kick away from me, they're not they're actually giving us better field position anyways. So it feels good being able to be an impact on the game, regardless if they kick me the ball or not. So with that Lenore Ryan game, at halftime we kind of made an adjustment. Our coaches just told me and the other returner to stand right beside each other, and it was actually kind of funny how it happened because we were standing there, and it was like a long pause in the game. The kicker on the other team just kept looking at his coaches, and they didn't know where to kick it, so he said, "Just kick it to the right, kick it to the right." So as soon as he went up to go kick the ball, me and the other returner split directions, and that kind of worked. We did that the rest of the game, and I ended up getting the ball like 3 times. So.
And I remember you had some big returns that game too, and I'd imagine that is the ultimate compliment for a kick returner.
Yes, it feels good making feeling like you had that big of an impact that they have to kick away from you. I've had a couple buddies from other schools actually tell me that I'm in the game plan, that they're not kicking me the ball this week, so you're gonna have a boring game, stuff like that. So it's just fun being able to mess around with that type of stuff, and it does feel good at the end of the day, and being able to help my team with better field position, regardless if I get the ball or not. That feels good too.
A tremendous season for you last year, both as a DB and as a return man, and some growth as a team as well. You played in some close games, improved your overall record. Now you look forward to your senior season. What are some personal and team goals that you have for this 2020 campaign?
All right, so first I'm gonna hit the team goals. We wanna be recognized as one of the best teams in Division II. So first step is we want to be able to win the conference in the new conference that we're in, Mountain East Conference. Secondly, we want to make the playoffs. We want to make a run and go deep. Obviously we want to be national champions. So those are some of the main goals as a team that we want to accomplish. Personally, I just want to make a bigger impact than I had last year. Mostly at DB, I want to be able to have a lot of success at defensive back as well as returner, obviously. But I want to put more of an emphasis as DB. So and then more specific wise, I'm trying to see if I can get maybe 4 or 5 return touchdowns instead of 3 this year, and punt also. I haven't had a punt return in my career here at UNCP, so that'd be pretty cool to get one of those.
And again, it'll be your senior season. So do you view yourself as one of the leaders on this team?
Yes, I do. I've always viewed myself as kind of a leader, but with my attitude, I've never really stepped up in that because people. I see that people feed off me. Like if I have an attitude, I'm blowing up on the coaches and everything like that. I noticed that a lot more players will start doing that. Ever since I've been more calm, I see that, the team's been more intact. Everybody's been close. So I think I've been leading more by example, more than telling people this, that, and everything like that. So, I do view myself as one of the leaders on this team.
And UNCP is a program, of course, still, I guess, relatively new to a lot of programs nationwide, but it seems like every year getting a little bit closer to having somebody play in the NFL. Of course, this year, Dominique and Josh, and you look down the pipeline, a guy like Isaac, one of the best punters in the country, and then, of course, yourself, one of the best kick returners in the country, and a very, very good defensive back as well. Is that something that you can kind of envision for yourself, playing in the NFL?
Yeah, I actually, that's been my goal since I was real young. I've always wanted to play in the NFL. And that's been limited to the NFL. Even if it's the CFL or anything like that, I just want to be able to play at the next level. So I've always had that goal, and I've always felt like I could do it. The only problem is, everybody's talking about size and everything like that, and I've always thought like it doesn't matter about the size of the play; it's always the heart. So, it's going to be hard because of my size and everything like that, but I think I can make up with it, with my speed and athletic ability. So we'll see where that goes. But that is the, ultimate goal. I've been telling my mom that I've been wanting to do it, and I made a promise to her and a couple other people, and I don't plan on breaking that promise.
I have to say, just from watching you, I mean, you will make some GM look very, very smart because you don't find players with the skill set that you have. I mean, the ability to return kicks and punts and also play DB at a high level. That's not every day that you find someone as explosive as yourself. I want to end with a fun question here. We've been ending all of our interviews and BraveHawk Talk with fun questions. So, if you can immediately choose one of these two things, what would it be? Would you rather immediately become an amazing cook or immediately become amazing at video games?
I'm already amazing at video games. So
Wow.
I'm an amazing cook.
do you have a go-to game?
Oh, Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty, and then a little bit of Madden every now and then.
Have you ever played NCAA football?
Yeah, I have played NCAA football. That game is a little bit more different. I wasn't as good as at that game. But I was obviously younger, so my brother used to beat me up on that game all the time.
That is without it. That's the only game I play, NCAA football 14, and actually, somebody, I don't know who it was, might have been somebody, the team or maybe a fan, made UNC Pembroke in the game, and I was able to download the roster. So you're in there. You were.
Really?
It was last year. Well, not this past season, the previous season's team. But yeah, it's funny seeing you and Josh Jones and Josh Sheridan and all those guys in NCAA football 14.
I think I've seen that. I think you tweeted that out, and I've seen it before.
Yes, I did tweet out a picture. I think I actually beat Ohio State with UNC Pembroke.
Oh, that's funny.
So,
how many times did that take?
Yeah, an upset for the ages there. But Devin, I really, really appreciate it. Best of luck with your classes the rest of this semester, and best of luck this upcoming season. I'm sure we'll talk again before that, but keep working hard, and you've been such a fun player to watch and a great interview. Really appreciate it.
Yep, thank you, and thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much to Devin Jones for joining us today on BraveHawk Talk. Really looking forward to following his success both on and off the field. Up now, we talk with Jack Bull Slavin, UNCP's Assistant AD for Marketing Partnerships. We talk dogs, bulls, and a whole lot more right here on BraveHawk Talk. Bull, thank you so much for joining me on BraveHawk Talk. Really, really, really appreciate it. Obviously, a lot going on right now in terms of world affairs and with the COVID-19 pandemic that's really shut down a lot of things. How have you been holding up over the last few weeks?
Hey, John, thanks for having me. Doing well. Still working from home. We got a lot that we're working on to try and keep our fans engaged and keep moving forward. But enjoying time at home and hanging out with the Great Dane and being able to kind of have that flexibility. Obviously, with our jobs, John, we're always working at all times and crazy hours with normal sporting events. So this isn't a huge change. The only change is that we don't have game days, and obviously, we love seeing you at game day, right? So, but besides that, being able to work from home is nice, but definitely concerned and thankful for all of our first responders and nurses that are helping out around the nation right now. It's a very scary thing, and around the world, very scary thing. I know that both my parents are in Durham County, and obviously it's exploding there. So talk with them every day, praying for everybody's safety, including ours.
You mentioned your dog, Relly. How has your dog been with you and Britt both home this whole time?
Yeah, she's great. She loves cuddling for being 140 pounds or so. So she throws her weight into you, and she's loving it. And obviously, shout out to all the dogs who are loving life right now with National Pet Day tomorrow. So we're looking forward. We're going to share some photos on our social media of National Pet Day. I'll definitely be sure to share one of Relly on my social media as well for anybody that wants to check that out.
Yes, Relly is a big dog. As I say, has it's like the size of a point guard, like standing up. What, about 6 feet or so?
She is the best Dane defender in the league.
You did score against her though once, right? That video you tweeted out.
Yeah, I only posted the one video of when I scored. She won all the other battles, so we're just gonna post the one that makes me look good.
Wow, lockdown defense. If Coach Haskins is looking for any other players, I think he might have an option in Relly. I think for a little bit, I didn't know your first name because everyone just called you Bull, and I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that maybe actually think that your name is Bull. But, of course, your name is Jack. Can you talk about the origins of Bull?
Yeah, and the story's not really funny, but it's kind of funny that everybody out here knows me as Bull. And I mean, I take pride in it, John. It's definitely a part of me. It's a part of my identity, and I'm proud of that. It's a memorable name. But my mom came out here for the first time, during my undergraduate career, and she was like, "Do you know where Jack is?" And they were like, "We don't know who Jack is." And I was like, "Sorry, do you know who Bull is?" And then they were like, "Oh, yeah, same sort of thing." But it came from catching. Obviously, I played baseball here at UNC Pembroke. I was a catcher. But I got the nickname when I was 6 years old from my first time catching, and Little League kids you weren't allowed to get off the base until after the ball crossed the plate. And whenever a kid would get off the base, I wouldn't throw it, I wouldn't make an errant throw or anything like that. I would just run at them until they were standing on the base. And my coach said I looked like a charging bull. And that's how the nickname came about. And then it stuck, over time. I had a few collisions at the plate. Had one of my good friends, actually, he slid into me, wound up breaking his ankle and things like that. So it just stuck as if you were like hitting a bull. And then going into the world of business was my degree, and my professors were like, nicknames don't work. And I was like, they were like, "Do you have a nickname?" And I said, "Yeah." And all of my professors were like, "You know what? We actually like that. You're going by that." And so then it transcended athletics and actually into the business world, where they were like, "Just go by Bull. It's a strong name. It's memorable, and obviously it's super helpful for meeting partners and clients and networking. It's a memorable name." So, but a lot of people think that it's because I'm from Durham. They're like, "Oh, Bull City, so you know the Bull," and it's not really. I mean, it was always known as Bull City growing up, but that's not where the name comes from. So it's kind of cool that I'm from Durham and that it ties in with the Durham Bulls, but that's actually not where it comes from.
And I agree with your professors. I think it's a phenomenal nickname, not just for friends and at a social level, but that is as memorable as it comes. I mean, even I know my parents, when they met you, like that name stuck with them. They always say, "Oh, how's Bull doing?" You talked about how you played baseball growing up, and you also played baseball at UNCP as an undergrad, and I think you have a unique situation compared to, I'd say, most people in the athletic department at UNCP, in that not only were you a student athlete, but you were a student athlete at UNC Pembroke. You're a UNCP alum. How do you think that has helped you in your current job?
I think it's huge. You have to truly understand what the community and town of Pembroke means and what our fans mean, and you have to take pride in that. I mean, Dick's done a great job, our athletic director, of instilling the championship experience motto, and I know that Lamar and me especially take that to heart. We truly try and put the fans first, and being a player here and getting to interact with the community and doing the projects that I did, like Athletic Connections during my time with the Honors College, really allowed me to connect with the community and gain a true understanding of what this community means to the university and also what the university means to the community. So being able to take that and going from a student athlete to a volunteer assistant with Lamar and Todd to a GA as the director of fan engagement, and then now into this role as assistant AD for marketing partnerships, it's been a true blessing. And when I first came out here, I never thought that I would still be at Pembroke, but this is home, and I love it out here. I love our fans. I love the people. I love the community. Have a lot of really good, now family friends out here. So very, very blessed and very thankful. And, Pembroke and small colleges all over the nation, John, they like to hire from within. That's very true here as well. We have some very successful individuals who have spent their time here, although not necessarily student athlete side. Lamar has spent his entire time here. Morgan was a student athlete and now works with Todd as well. And then obviously a bunch of our coaches have spent time as student athletes, and then now our assistants or associate head coaches.
You touched on it a bit, your path to get to where you are, but it's super impressive. You're in your 4th year working in the athletic department, correct?
Yes, officially.
Okay,
yes.
4th year officially, and you are already at the assistant AD level. You're the assistant athletic director for marketing partnerships. So what did the path look like to get to where you are, and do you think you'd be in this position so quickly?
I didn't think I'd be here this quickly, John. I mean, doors opened up at the right time. It truly was being at the right place at the right time. But I think that comes from having done things the right way, having the work ethic, putting in the time, going about things in a proper manner, so that, again, you make a lasting impact, a positive impact. There's not negative things that are being said about you. You always put in the work. You always put your best foot forward. I think with that, opportunities will always find those who deserve them and earn them. I don't think it's an easy path by no means, although it sounds easy when you put it in a synopsis. By no means was this path easy. By no means did I think that I would be at an assistant AD level, and by no means is this the end goal. So I still have a lot to learn, and I still have a lot to accomplish, but I'm glad to be starting that journey and accomplishing some of those things as a Brave.
What would you say your end goal is? Like, if you had to pick one dream job that you get and that's it for the rest of your life, what would that be?
I love external operations. I think you know this by now, John, with how much I love working with you and Lamar and Jen and Morgan and Todd, and how everything works together as far as partnerships and in-game promotions and the fan experience. How all that ties in is essential. And so for me, I think my dream, I don't really have the desire to be an athletic director unless it was the right situation. For me, I'd love to be a senior AD, to where you're basically the number 2. Obviously, every school has a different title for it, but to where you're basically taking care of external ops and making sure all the pieces fall into place. But as I said, and Todd's really done a great job on this with me, of giving me the opportunity to learn some of those experiences, as well as Dick. They let me push the limits a little bit more than I think a normal person in my role with only 4 years of experience would normally get the opportunity to do. So definitely very blessed, but that's the end goal for me. That would definitely be a dream job at the right university, is that senior AD level, to where you're part of the leadership team, getting to make those decisions and impact the fan experience, but not necessarily the face of everything.
Your title is, again, marketing assistant AD for marketing partnerships, but your role and what you've kind of expanded that role to be goes beyond just marketing. I mean, you do PA, you do in-game activities and challenges for fans, so it's a very multifaceted role. Do you have a favorite part of your job?
A favorite part of my job, John? That's a tough question. I feel like that's a double-sided question. I don't know if there's one thing besides the fan experience. I love, in-game promotions are cool. Marketing partnerships are great. Obviously, they help make the department go around and be able to give us the backing for our student athletes to be successful. That's key. If we don't have core student athletes and a strong coaching staff and strong operations, then the experience falls apart. But I think for me, the best part is the actual experience. So creating what a game day looks like, incorporating those corporate partners, giving them an experience, and then making sure that our students, our fans, our partners, the community, that they all truly enjoy coming to a game and say, man, I want to come back. We've done a lot of promotions and a lot of themes that are truly designed for our community specifically. And I think being able to do that and then seeing the faces and seeing the emails that we get and the comments about, thank you guys for doing this. It's been so special. We can't wait to come back to another game. That's my favorite part. That's what makes it special, makes you want to do it. The student athletes that thank you for, the student athletes that give their very best on and off the field, and then the fans that get to enjoy all the behind-the-scenes work that we do, the months of planning for every single event that we do.
Do you have an event or a moment that you're most proud of?
My first Bark in the Park, John, is probably one of the most proud events, or the event that I am most proud of. There we go. We set a record for attendance at baseball. We impacted over 50 dogs that day and their owners. We had a bunch of vendors out there. Definitely an event that I look forward to every year, watching it grow. Obviously, we've gotten the support of Chewy and Bark in the Park, and Bark Box for the event. So it's definitely an event that I was super proud of and look forward to every year. But then there's new ones this year, like the Autism Awareness Game. I mean, that's so different. That impacts a unique group of individuals that don't really get put in the limelight or get to experience sporting events in the way that everybody else does. So that was a very special event, too, that we're looking forward to growing every year to come.
I want to end with a fun question. And these were all sent to me from Todd. So this one's a little bit difficult. You have it's not that bad. You'll see, but I think it might take a second to think of an answer. You have $10 million, but you can only spend it on things that begin with the first letter of your first name. What are you spending that $10 million on? Just give me a few items. You don't have to figure out a way to spend all $10 million, but what would you buy with $10 million, and it has to start with the first letter of your first name?
So again, we're going with Jack.
We'll go with Jack.
With everything going on right now, John, to be honest, I think we could say jobs. I think $10 million could help out a lot of people right now that are definitely struggling from the pandemic. And then for the athletic department, I think jerseys would be super cool. I love doing custom jerseys for different games, Military Appreciation Night. I know UNCP soccer did military jerseys this past year. I'd love to do that with football, with how big that event is, bringing in taps and things like that. So I would say jobs first because of everything going on right now. I think the money would be very useful and provide some comfort to a lot of people right now. And then definitely jerseys to create that fan experience, take it one step further.
Bull, an incredibly selfless answer there. As they say in Yiddish, you're a mensch. But thank you so much for joining me today. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you for just being helpful. I mean, obviously you went to UNCP, so you kind of understand how everything works here. But me being from a different part of the country and everything, and you've been great just helping me along the way. And I look forward to continuing to work with you.
Yeah, John, we're excited to have you back next year. I don't think you've announced it to everybody yet, so we're excited to have you back next year, and it's been an honor, John. Thanks for having me on today.
Thanks again, Bull. That'll do it for today's episode of BraveHawk Talk on the UNCP Sports Network. Thank you again to both Devin and Bull for joining me today, and a huge thank you to all of you for listening to today's show and supporting us throughout all of our BraveHawk Talk episodes. We will be back on Monday, but in the meantime, make sure to stay up to date on everything UNC Pembroke Athletics by visiting our website, uncpbraves.com. Also, follow us on all of our social media platforms, Facebook under UNCP Athletics, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok at UNCP_sports. And if you're listening to this podcast right now, you're on our YouTube page, so make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on all things UNCP. Once again, thanks for joining me. I'm John Gross, and we'll talk to you again on Monday.